Welcome back for game number 2, AL versus T1. That first game, nothing else can be said, but it was explosive. That game was amazing.
And I think we're going to get more of that. Lots of team fighting, lots of skirmishes between these two teams. So it should be action-packed for the duration here.
I'm excited. When these junglers get their hands on some playmakers, you know the magic is going to happen with both Vi and Wukong already taken out of the pool. Xin Zhao naturally rises in priority. The Pantheon was an early ban coming through from AL. And also that Poppy, that Trundle, those two responses to specific picks. We're very excited to see where they fall in the draft priority. And let's not forget, Azir and Talia, the most prominent mid laners that we've seen banned in Game 1. Will they fall to the wayside as we jump into our draft, presented by Omen and HyperX?
Exactly. Let's see, with some of the picks out, still so many of the power picks available. Okay, Talia banned again, should require the Azir response. As expected, usually not wanting to give one without the other, unless you wanted to do some weird Poppy stuff and try and get 2-for-1 value there, because Poppy is another one of those ones that is left up and could be flexible to jungle or support, and is a very good answer.
Varus ban comes through from AL. So far the bans are very similar to what we saw. We are just missing that Azir that you were talking about, Kobe. T1 taking their time, thinking about how they want to close this one out. What will their priority be here in the draft? Remember, Rumble with Galio gone naturally rises in priority as well. Jarvan taken out of the pool, something we've seen Tarzan work with and have a lot of success with as well.
And has a lot of synergy with Rumble.
Yeah.
So maybe looking to break that up.
This will be the Rumble priority here for T1.
Yeah, Rumble up and available, Rise another one, but it does feel like it is an angle for that potential Rumble first pick if T1 wants to go for it.
Yeah, quite a few options still left up as far as the bottom lane, and they do slam down the early Lucian here. So Braum has been super duper popular as the pairing, even oftentimes surpassing the Namis and the Emilios of old, which definitely does kind of put you into a more counter-engage and defensive mindset, but it has a very flexible outlook. So let's see what the exchange is going to be. This would put a lot of this would dissuade you a bit from picking the Xin in that case, because then Trundle is very good into Xin, and some of the AD jungles have been kind of whittled away here already pretty early on.
My instincts are that AL might just slam a Sion. Oh, okay. Could also be the early Yorick. We did see this come through in their series yesterday, I want to say. And I mean, it's a big comfort pick for Flandre. In the matchup against Bin, he actually fell behind a little bit, but then he came back and had a huge impact later on in the game.
And so oftentimes you'll see either the Sion, Jax, maybe Cho'Gath into that one here. You could still do Renekton as well. One of the nerfs to Yorick for this patch for MSI was the armor. And so you do have a couple more of those options.
And one of the things I like about the Trundle pairing with it is it's dissuading you from going towards the Cho'Gath and the Sion, which are two really stable, strong answers to the Yorick.
I'm thinking about AL just locking something like a Rakan here as well. When you go for the blind Braum, obviously it's a fantastic pairing alongside the Lucian. Faker's Rise. These do feel like a lot of denial picks, but we saw a composition similar to this come through from T1 in their series against Gen G.
And instantly, another denial, you know, taking away the Orianna from Faker. He's like, okay, fine, you're going to take my Rise? I will take your Orianna here. Both teams here really utilizing the fearless aspect of it, but that leaves up in doubt what is going to be the answer into Flandre's Yorick at the top side. They actually don't even protection ban it early on here, going for the Nocturne instead, which Owner has played a bunch of.
Yeah, I guess they, as Azel was already saying, they're not worried about the tank responses just because the Trundle already locked in. And instead they're worried about the potential dive against an Orianna. Like front to back is probably the style of play that they want to be playing. They can also like round things out with an Ezreal. You'll notice that T1 also recognizing that support pool and wanting to remove the Rakan as a possibility. I wonder if something like the Leona may also be taken away, or if instead they might want to get rid of an AD carry option to limit some of Hope's options. But you can see that Jack's something that Flandre did play into when he played against Bin, and the matchup can be quite difficult, especially if that Jax gets ahead early.
Okay, any more support options they're truly worried about playing into?
Okay.
The Alistar here instead.
Generally, I consider Braum good into the Alistar, but I guess they are worried about just giving Kyle the ability to engage, wanting to limit some of the ways that he starts fights. Right now, the Karma Hover, really good matchup into the Braum, and they're going to lock that in. Screams to me something like an Ezreal to come through from the side of AL.
It also screams to me that AL are not going to have a lot of hard engage at all for themselves. Going to rely on some pretty good shockwaves and going to rely on really playing the map. They're so good since they've used Flandre's Yorick so often, but having a bottom lane that is going to be heavy pressure, double poke there with the Karma instead of getting in their engage.
We've seen the Lee do well into the Trundle just because of the mobility that the champion has. And Ona, I mean, he's a very well-known Lee Sin player. He did bring it out in Game 5 against Genji. Had a great start, but then he had that blunder around the Otacon where he stepped too far and walked into the traps. You also mentioned the Renekton earlier, Kobe. That does seem to be the direction that Doran is thinking, and he will lock it in. So a pretty powerful skirmish composition coming through from T1 with things like the Renekton, Lee Sin, and Braum. If Kerry can get out onto the map, like the 2v2s, 3v3s are monstrous.
They have a tremendous amount of CC, between the Rise, the Braum passive, the Renekton stuns. They really can be powerful, as you say, but definitely some potential concerns as you get towards the later stages of the game. Can you actually lock down this Ezreal? Do you have enough hard engage to really get in there? Because you are dependent upon flanks, you're dependent upon getting in with someone like the Renekton or a kick flash onto the Ezreal who can be hard to lock down.
I completely agree. I think that AL's composition is straightforward, and I like the approach that they've gone for. I will say across the board, the engage is quite low. I will give the range advantage to AL simply because they have the Ezreal, the small amount of poke that can also come through from the Yorick. But patience, I think, is going to be key when it comes to playing these fights. And control of the side lanes is going to be super important, because you think about things like the Rise ultimate being able to potentially set up a pick onto those side lanes.
I mean, it's such a different draft than game one for both sides. Both sides are very low on hard engage. Last game we had so many ways to start fights out. Nautilus, Wukong, all of these ways to full send it. This time, teams are going to have to be more creative. It's going to be about the setup. It's going to be about the angles of attack.
Yeah, Flandre only has a single game on the Renekton so far this year. Of course, he's played it throughout his career, a very long career, but we'll get into it with game two being so important.
Jumping into game two. Keeping an eye on early vision, always super important. You'll notice Flandre making his way towards the bot lane will drop the ward for his bot laners. AL know they have solid range, but against the Braum in the early skirmishes, you have to be extremely careful.
And it is going to be Spellbook again here for Keria. Loves playing it, really does fit his style. Such a creative and flexible support player. And Doran here sneaking in behind Tarzan. Has not been spotted just yet. And I don't even think they actually had vision of that ward going down.
You're
so
right,
Doran being very sneaky here will net them a little bit of additional information that Ale is not wise to.
Sneaky Doran. Oh, a classic.
And they're still alive after all.
Oh my god. There may very well be League players today that have no idea who TSM are.
That's fair. Congratulations, though, to Guma and Owner. They're passing Maple and Peanut for 8th all-time, 145 international games played. Still seems interesting to me. Like, it doesn't quite compute in my brain that these T1 players are now such veterans of international play, because every time they show up, they have such deep runs.
Exactly, and they've created such a large fandom with everyone really following the long journey that they have had. The journeys for the junglers in this game are both going to be top towards that bottom. And of course, the deep ward that we saw placed up by the Raptor pit will alert T1 to Tarzan's pathing.
Exactly. I'm curious as to how Ona will respond as the poke continues to come through. Early heal used by Carrier to sidestep some of the poke coming out from Hope. As Faker also just getting some nice trades in the middle lane. So T1 with push in mid and top. On the bot side of the map, it is Gumayushi and Carrier that are being put underneath their tower.
There are a lot of histories, a lot of stories between the players on these teams, but also the coaches. Tabe has been around for a long time and has faced down T1 internationally a number of times, both as a player and as a coach.
That was back when he was on Royal Club as a player, playing with Uzi. And as a coach, has had more success, much more success.
I mean, 7-9 versus T1 is better than almost anyone does. This is a team that just wins time and time and time again.
I will say I like what Tabe has cooked up for AL. Doran looking for a trade once more against Flandre. The back and forth between the two top laners is they're left isolated. Keeping my eyes on the junglers. The full clears are about to complete, and here we go.
Owner is heading down, but Tarzan in the area as well. Both junglers will spot each other. Guma, nice little trade here onto Hope. Owner scrapping with Tarzan on the other side as Keria goes forward. Can't connect on the winner's bite. Kael gets the root here. It does connect onto Guma. Owner heavily losing out in that fight, but will be able to just back it off. It will mean scuttle control on the bot side for AL.
Yeah, really have to respect that Trundle. So he's going to be able to finish off this one. Owner actually going to make a pass through mid lane while Tarzan actually finishes the Scuttle Crab, running up to the second one so he doesn't get Scuttle Crabbed here. Should be fine there. Then the option usually for the Trundle is try and just place down a Trinket Ward by Raptors to see the second Raptor spawn so you can be there for the second timer, because Trundle is so good at going for 1v1s and invades. Lee Sin, of course, with the mobility, gets to choose a lot of the time the actual fight that you take. Flandre low under tower.
Flandre incredibly low. We'll see if they can set up the dive here. Pushing in, Flandre, they'll have the stun. Doran can set it up. Can Flandre look for the outplay here? There's the stun. There's the Sonic Wave and the resonating strike. It's first blood for Owner.
Great stun setup there. Very easy for Doran's Renekton under the tower. An efficient route here too for Owner. Now he can just go for his reset as his camps are respawning.
Tarzan was able to get an earlier base off, but I mean, that was a consequence of, oh, shanked. He gets very low, sidesteps nicely though, gets away to safety. The phase rush helping him out with that one. But yeah, I mean, not more else to say really on that top side play. Doran now going to be sent towards the bot side of the map. He's going to match into the Ezreal as Flandre's wave in a very awkward spot. The question mark ping coming through from AL on that top side. They're expecting the swap to come through, and his wave is just in a very dangerous position because of T1's ability to freeze it and potentially deny Flandre a lot of farm.
And this is the benefit they get. They pull off that dive on top side. They had the crash wave, so Flandre had to TP immediately back up to try to fix that wave, but Guma shows up alongside Keria, and we'll see if they can actually hold this wave off the tower. Looks like Guma does want to thin the wave and potentially threaten that freeze.
Meanwhile, it's just going to be the rotation over for the bottom side. Ezreal laning into Renekton now, keeping it safe. Doran going for a little scouting mission down there first, making sure there's no extra pressure to come through since they know both junglers heading towards this area.
T1 playing with their pressure well though, going to start off this dragon immediately thanks to Doran and Faker getting push in their respective lanes.
And because they've got the early support rotation here, Keria rotating over since Karma is showing so much in top side of the map. They know they've got it locked down, and will be dragon number 1 for T1.
Similar to what we saw in game 1. T1 able to secure that first dragon as well. So small advantages beginning to be built by T1 here in the early game. They're playing around their push well, they're punishing the HP bars where they can. And they're starting off strong, and I would say this is kind of what we expected based on the draft. Faker and Doran able to get that early push in against their counterpart. The ulti comes through from Faker.
Faker with the Realm War. Flandre in trouble, has the flash. Will he be able to kite out? Doesn't look like it. He's going to get stunned up, and I don't even think it's worth using that flash. Guma Yushi gets the kill, and the Maiden is going to be on cooldown for a very long time.
AL targeted Doran in the previous game so heavily, and T1 actually going to go for both sides of the map.
Owner is here, and Kael is gone. Hope is running for the hills. Will he be able to get out to safety? Doran waiting for the cooldowns. Owner backing off. T1 happy with what they have gotten.
Just like that, T1 pick up 3 kills across the map. We talked about how you have to be very careful of this Ryze ultimate, and Faker doesn't waste any time. They've been utilizing their pressure so well. They collapse onto Flandre, who's isolated in the top lane, and they punish Kael on the bottom lane as well. A 1k gold lead, 7 minutes in.
There's been a lot of talk about Faker and his laning phase not being as strong as it has been in the past, but This guy knows how to win games. He is always in the right place at the right time, doing whatever it takes to enable his teammates to get the win.
Yeah, very active for T1, making plays on both sides of the map simultaneously. And I used Osman, and on the reset timer, Owner going towards the bottom side, getting one there as well. T1 building another early lead. AL's team fighting has been so good though, so they'll look to try and take it back once we get to the mid game.
Not a lot of engage tools here though, so Tarzan can show up, but as long as T1 respect the fact that he is there, there's no Alistar to set him up, there's no Nautilus to lock them down. You know, it requires an overextension from T1 to really get chased down and killed. And so AL instead will start up the objective.
Bit of damage being thrown down onto carriers. Owner tests the waters. The grubs being collapsed on by T1. Here comes Doran as well from the river.
Yeah, Doran is running up here. Tarzan gonna be able to grab the first one. Kyle looking, and Owner goes in. Owner jumps back out. Safeguard to safety. Tarzan has to flash as Faker and Guma were putting the pressure on. Tarzan just barely able to survive. There's the shockwave coming in, but Carrier throws up the wall and does survive. KL now in trouble. Faker trying to get in range here. Can't quite finish him off. A lot of low health bars, but no one goes down. And someone is going to have to answer Flandre in the bot lane because no one has TP right now from T1. So instead, they will try to keep the pressure on top here. Doran is behind him. They know that they're going to give up plates on bot side. Will T1 try to force the dive? Doran, if he's going to go, he has to stop that recall now. Kyle incredibly low, flashes forward, gets one. Can he get in range for the slice? The dice, the stun, the croc is here, and he is hungry.
It's Doran extending the play. He was pushing mid lane, then goes up through the jungle here, as you say, to trap them behind the secondary tower. They do sacrifice something on the bottom side, a little bit of turret plate money to Flandre, but very worth for T1.
T1, 5 kills to 0. We're not even at the 10-minute mark, but they are looking to skirmish. They are looking to fight where they can. We talked about it in the draft, how this Braum can provide so much value in these extended fights. And after chipping away at AL's HP bar, they knew that they could chase for more. A healthy gold lead, the Dragon spawning in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. And T1 in a fantastic position here in the early game.
Doran at the center of much of the action here, involved in all but one of the kills. A significant gold lead, even though he gave up some plates and CS on the bot side to make that move. He's been put in a position to succeed here, and the pressure will be on him to do so.
Yeah, meanwhile, into the side lanes here for Faker, for Rise. Comfortable position as they have Carrier kind of rotating over. There's plenty of vision for Shank, so it shouldn't fall under any pressure, but is going to start to be fairly difficult for AL as they move in and get those deeper wards through the jungle. Owner now going to replace some of his own.
Area sitting on that spellbook Ghost. Could give him an opportunity to go a little bit more aggressive if he sees one. But for now, both teams, I think, content to just continue farming here. And T1 does feel like they're in much better position around this Dragon. They have the vision control in the river, but AL does have a couple of deep wards, so we'll at least be able to spot a potential approach from T1 if they go for it.
Oh no, with the Sundered Sky finished means that he is so strong on this Lee Sin. Notice that he's just abandoned his topside camps, made a beeline towards the bot lane, with Tarzan being spotted on the top side as well. There should be an uncontested Dragon that T1 will start immediately. Good vision coverage around the river, and Carrier recognizes he doesn't need to be around the Dragon, so instead he can make his way towards top, try and prevent the dive.
And T1 are calling Carrier over to help Doran defend.
Doran in a lot of trouble, pops the ulti, slices out to safety. Carrier goes in, hits the ulti. Tarzan in trouble, but Flandre is the one tanking the turret for now. Carrier popped the Ghost just to get there in time and use the flash to help save Doran.
Great allocation of resources here from T1. Braum is so good at defending. They call for the rotation from Carrier. He gets there initially, and that's going to be enough. They will hold it while taking the Dragon
Shanks in trouble.
side.
Shockwave connects onto Faker, but Shanks has nowhere to go. Tank up by Faker, knocked down by Owner. Another successful play in the side lanes from T1.
They extend it to 6 kills, and AL is getting nothing on the cross map. A few camps are being stolen, but Doran is just a monster. And with Carrier at his back, this play feels impossible for AL.
T1 in a fantastic spot, reading the movements here, and now Tarzan in some trouble, has no flash, and he's got nowhere to go. You have to think, slowed down, stunned up, and Carrier takes him down, but on the other side, Doran gets knocked down by Kyle and Flandre. Flandre, though, potentially has overextended here. Guma gonna look for the chase. He's sped up by Kael. Can Carrier connect on the winner's bite? He can. He is slowed down. Guma trying to get in range. The dash not there just yet. Looks like they will be able to walk it out.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension there. Tarzan goes really deep into the jungle, but because Guma had not fully recalled, he gets punished. They get the extra kill, and that means they can push back out for more turret plate money here. At least a little bit of tower damage.
Guma feels confident in the 1 versus 2. He doesn't even have Carrier near him.
Got it.
But with how strong he is on the Lucian, he is now level 9. Hope just ticking over as well. I mean, T1 is accelerating this game at a rapid pace. 13 minutes in, the kills are 7-1. And bear in mind, while Tarzan was on the top side trying to make a play happen, he was able to steal away a Gromp. Owner just took his entire bot side jungle. He has nearly a full level over Tarzan right now on this Lee Sin. He's continuing to ramp up. And it feels like that as we get closer to this Herald, this third dragon, T1 can just force these fights that AL is not strong enough to contest just yet.
They absolutely will, and they already have the feats of strength, have those upgraded boots through here for T1. A lot of magical footwear, though, so not a lot of value grabbed from it just yet, but will be coming through soon, you have to think, as Tarzan in the area, trying to see if Dorian would go too aggressive. But Owner and Carrier are here as well. Tarzan will spot them. Kael there, trying to keep him safe. Tarzan now is the target, will be able to back up. Nice pillar, buying some time, as Carrier will pop his barrier there with the spellbook and stay safe.
I feel like with these compositions and with the early lead that T1 have, they're going to be in the driver's seat. They get to choose basically whatever fight is going to take place because AL have so few ways of actually forcing the issue in their favor or actually choosing the moment.
Flandre locking down Faker. Looks like he wants a position for an all-in. He's trying to chase after Faker here, who is in some trouble. He's going to go for the Realm Warp. Can he actually interrupt it? He cannot. Doesn't have his cage available. You can bump him with the edge of it, but didn't have it up. Faker gets out to safety, but nice job by Flandre getting some pressure down. The True Shot Barrage will not interrupt him, but you can see Tarzan here to back him up. Carrier, though, again, always covering the side lanes.
Yeah, Carrier, another shadow here, but the ghouls are doing some work.
Ooh.
Oh, Tarzan's behind him, and now I think they are going to go for the dive. The TPs are coming in. Tarzan has his eyes on Faker. Kael there as well, but Owner is coming in. Teleport response from Doran. He is on Shanks. Tarzan's fighting on the other side. Doran trying to take down Shanks. He flashes forward. He takes him down. He's looking for a second. Flandre now in trouble as everyone piles in onto Doran. Doran will fall, but can AL get out? Another teleport coming back. It's Faker re-arriving to the fight. Owner kicks off Tarzan, takes him down, and Flandre trying to kite for his life. Kael has the tether in onto Carrier. But here comes Guma, Yushi, and Faker. Owner fighting. The Owner living. Owner surviving as T1 wipe AL out of the bot lane.
The collapse from T1 left AL in ruin. They lose 4 members in that exchange, and it all started with them trying to dive Faker. They see how low his HP is. The TPs come in rapid succession, but the arrival of Doran swings the fight.
Yeah, Carrier locket shields there, and then Faker's going to be able to recall. Doran, though, just absolutely destroyed Shanks. Deleting him, did go for the flash, and in the end he does go down. But as you say, the rest of T1 are able to collapse, and you'll see there on the mini-map, Hope the Ezreal cannot join, so he just goes back to push the mid wave.
I mean, Owner, we talked about how strong he is at this point in the game, and you can see while Flandre still does a lot of damage thanks to the Maiden, it wasn't quite enough. The collapse from T1 was swift. And now they find themselves with 11 kills, 16.5 minutes in.
And it's a small thing, but a critical one. Flandre didn't focus down the tower when Shanks arrived. So when Doran stunned him, the tower was on him. The tower bot lane lived with like 10 HP down there. So that got so much extra damage to help Doran knock Shanks down immediately.
Yeah, this one's snowballing so heavily in favor of T1. Should be effortless to pick up Dragon number 3 for themselves with a large gold lead with so much CC to their advantage. Should be able to push in on AL. I guess the silver lining to that tower not going down earlier, they've got objective bounties on it. So they can hope to try and get an objective bounty on that tower standing there.
You look at that thing and it's going to die.
25 HP on the tower. Oh, Kael, he's in danger.
He is, but Hope is here, as is Tarzan. Owner should be fine here. Relmore coming through. Faker posturing aggressively, but Tarzan trying to turn the damage down. Owner, nice kick back, looking for Kyle. Is going to try to get out to safety, but there's the shockwave over the wall from Shanks. AL low on health. Can't extend the play here. Hope shifts forward aggressively. Does get some good poke down. That is kind of the gold difference in action. AL just don't have enough in the tank to punch through these health bars.
And I just love that T1 is recognizing the strength of their composition. It's good at skirmishing. That was a 2 versus 3, and they just went in. They know that in these smaller fights is where they can really outplay their opponents and get the better when it comes to the damage. And AL, when it does extend into these bigger fights, it's not like it's a straight-up 5v5. It's like a 2 versus 3 that then turns into another 3v3 because someone ends up falling. The tower will finally go down. AL's first of the game. They get a bit of gold back, but it's still a 3.5k gold advantage for T1.
Yeah, it's going to be a drop in the bucket, honestly, with the way that this game has been going. Owner with 1,000 individual gold lead. Rise here going to be so problematic in the side lanes that now it's going to be, wait a second, Keria.
Keria very far out, but does flash back and jumps over to Faker. Keeps himself safe. I mean, this is a ridiculously fast dragon stacking game as well. You're looking at a soul that could be here around 22 minutes if T1 are able to do it right on spawn.
I don't see any reason for them not to do it right on spawn with how they can set it up too. Outer towers down, they can move in, place the prerequisite vision here through the blue quadrant of AL. And again, since AL, really the only kind of plan is to split push with Flandre or try and walk right into them and hope for a good shockwave placement. T1, yeah, they do just that. They fully take over jungle vision, take out that outer tower, and will set themselves up nicely.
Doran gonna drive it in for a second charge here. And this tier 2 tower, not long for the world. Flandre's in the side lane, gonna be hunting for that bounty. We can already see pings from T1. They are gonna be heading up there, sending Doran to respawn. And Flandre knows he cannot stay around to try to knock that tower down. So T1, again, an unanswered play here. 2 towers in the mid lane and extending that gold lead to nearly 5,000. Faker, though, could be in trouble. Can they actually knock him down? Do they have the interrupt? The shockwave does stop it, and Faker does get shut down. The gold goes to Tarzan.
So the mid laner finally falls, and AL claw back a bit of gold, but T1 have already extended that lead after taking so much in the middle lane. Top tower still relatively healthy. Guma pushing in another wave in mid. Artican about to spawn on the top side of the rift. AL gonna look to recall, but we know T1, they are not afraid to force this objective.
And critically, Faker didn't waste the flash here. He knows he's going to have that available for the next dragon fight, for these big objective fights, and T1 are not even going to wait for the dragon. They're starting the Otacon now.
Yep, they have such a good advantage. They can just force on these objectives. AL are coming, though. They are going to fight.
We'll see if they can find their way in. Keria not allowing them to get past here. Guma in a good position. Tarzan trying to force his way in, but they're immediately turning around to him, and the culling is getting so much damage down. Doran into the back line. Hope over the side, trying to go in. He shifts in onto Keria, but it's a shutdown there over on Owner. Shanks is trying to run as Faker is behind them. Doran and Faker. It's a triple for Guma, but it's the solo laner's getting so much work done. Doran flashes in. Hope tries to shift out. Gets back over the wall with the flash of his own. Shanks now running from Faker. Doran trying to corral Hope here. Hope looking to try to make an outplay. Shanks on the side. Faker flashes in. He takes him out just as his teammates do the same to Hope. T1 get an ace, and they're going to claim the Otacon.
They may lose Owner, but they will take every last member of AL, including the Otacon. And then look at the Dragon just 50 seconds away afterwards. They can reset and move their resources over to the other side of the map.
T1 bounced back after game 1 ruthlessly as Keria acts as gatekeeper in this brush, making it so difficult. And remember, at this point, it is a 4 versus 4. Hope is coming up through the river, and then T1 just forced the fight, knowing that the TP is coming through from Faker. At this point, Owner, he has to get away from Hope, so he goes in a little bit deep. He gets close to taking out Tarzan, but he does the damage that he needs to do. Guma dancing his way through the fight, sticking close to Doran, gets himself a triple. He's going to get an extended quadra after picking up Hope at the back end of this fight as Shanks falls on the top side to Faker.
We came into this series really believing that it has what it takes to go a full 5 games. And T1 here in game number 2, pushing back so heavily, already looking to even us up if they can complete this game.
And I just love how aggressively Keria has been playing. He knows they're heavily ahead in gold. He's just playing in the face of AL, making them waste spells on him, making them dump damage into him. And AL gonna look for a cross-map play. Faker did spend his flash in the last fight. The pillar is good. Kenny Realm Warp out to safety. The tether not in time. Faker is safe. The soul is claimed. It's all T1 all the time.
Well played by Faker. He goes first to proc his phase rush. That means that they have to use the pillar, and as soon as the pillar is used, he knows he can proc his ultimate and get out.
I mean, AL, it feels like that they are out of options in this game. We've already talked so much about the limited engage in T1. They're just going to run at AL once more.
Owner is hunting. Great sidestep there from Tarzan, but will him get him out to safety. He's trying to run for it, is barely able to get out of range there, but Kyle is going to be left for the Wolves. Keria still is chasing as Guma is coming through the jungle. They want everyone here. Owner is just going to fight against Kyle as Guma arrives here trying to lock down Tarzan. They can't quite stop him. Owner does pick up the 1 kill on the support, but it is only Kyle falling.
Right now, they do have Shank split pushing in bottom lane, has his teleport ready. So the plan for AL, try and get as many resources as you possibly can, and then get everyone here ready for the defense. Hope that they can find an angle for a counter play.
The T1 are not giving them time. They are just forcing their hand, constantly showing up, taking down towers, forcing objectives. You have to think for AL, it's got to be some sort of a Baron flip or a prey for the Elder. But the problem is the Elder is still so far away, and T1 are going to look to attack the Baron first. It'll be very difficult for them to approach.
Completely agree. Faker going to continue to catch lanes in a side wave and tick over to level 16 now on the rise. This pick was really important in the early game at getting T1 those early advantages. Both Faker and Owner working together, but also just how T1 was playing the map. When something was happening top lane, something was also happening in the bot, making it impossible for AL to really cross-map at any opportunity. Right from the start, T1 have had a vice grip over this game, and they have not relieved that pressure as AL get closer and closer to the Baron spawn.
Yeah, they've been incredibly proactive, looking their best here. Owner making huge plays, often at the same time as Faker making plays on the other side of the map. And now that they have this control, this lead, with the extra speed of the Cloud Soul, you make it so hard for AL to even keep up in resources because they have to use the safety of their towers to catch these waves. T1 can just completely take over your jungle.
Very aggressive flash there from Keria, but he will now swap it over to that Spellbook Smite. So could look for an angle on the Baron here with the double smite to try to secure it. And I think that's why he was so loose with the spending of that summoner spell.
Baron spawns and T1 will not waste any time. Just like the Atakan, they're going to start the objective off, put the pressure onto AL once more.
It is spotted immediately, but AL gonna have to try to get over here in a hurry. Tarzan has no flash, which will be critical. Can he even get there in time? It doesn't look like it. It's going down way too fast. AL realize it. Owner goes out to try to kick Tarzan away, but he wasn't even there. T1 claim the Baron.
And then they can counter with the teleport, put a stop to the split push. Faker is there.
Will they be able to find the chase down? The Cloud Soul here going to pay dividends. As you can see, Owner running through the jungle. They're going to force out the defensive TP. Owner now turning back with Doran. He's going in on Tarzan. Tarzan in some trouble here as Hope is knocked up by Keria. But it's Gumayushi now firing. Gumayushi dashing forward, trying to pump the damage in. Doran and Keria are low, though. AL will survive the onslaught and back off.
The shockwave from Shanks was good, but he just doesn't have the damage to do anything significant in the fight. It did slow down T1 a little bit, allowing for AL to escape. But T1 continue with their relentless pressure, and Faker back to pushing in the bottom lane.
Honestly, right now, AL, they need to just send multiple people into one area of the map. But they're going to look for Doran. He's got his flash, so it should be fairly difficult to catch him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's really much of an opportunity to do anything. T1 pushing on the other side, looking for the last of the outer tier 2s here. Keria steps forward and just pushes Shanks back. Pops the barrier with that Summoner Spellbook, just constantly rotating through these spells. You can see Doran just fighting here on the side. Tarzan will be able to get the blue buff, but will he be able to actually get out to safety? Doran slowing him down with the Stride Breaker. There is the slice, the dice. Tarzan in a lot of trouble. Owner is going to be here as well, as Tarzan seems to have overstayed his welcome, has no flash, and looks like there is no way out whatsoever. Owner takes it, jungle diff.
Yoink, thank you very much. And yeah, we're seeing this because there's not a lot that AL can do from behind with this composition, and so the little rotation over with the extra speed from the Cloud Soul. Another pick for T1.
Yeah, I mean, if you are an AL fan, don't look at Guma's items. Just avoid eyes from that area of the map because this man is monstrous right now. He is extremely fed, and if things weren't dire before, with itemization like that, it feels more than dire now. Elder spawning in 55, and you have to imagine that T1 will continue to do what they've done throughout this series. Objective spawn, objective start.
Yeah, immediately. No reason to hesitate. And honestly, Vedius, if you are an AL fan, probably start visualizing the next games.
Yeah, there's a lot of places you don't want to look.
Yeah.
You know, the 2-level lead for Faker, the additional item for him, the additional item for Owner. I mean, they are ahead everywhere, not to mention the Cloud Soul, which is going to make it incredibly difficult to escape a losing fight here. As Keria, again, just posturing so aggressively, always stepping forward in the face there of Hope and the rest of AL. They're just trying to thin out the waves here, see if there's any sort of an opportunity for them to get over to what feels like an inevitable Elder start here for T1. But Tarzan critically has no flash, so if T1 go for it early, it's really hard to imagine how Tarzan would even be able to get to the pit.
The damage just continues to come through. Hope doing what he can to chip away at the HP bars of T1, but it's not really going to stick. Our observers highlighting for us how little AL can see on the map. The Elder will begin the suffocation of vision in full effect as AL trying to force their way into the river.
They have to just full send it. This is the Hope, the Elder Dragon fight.
Tarzan trying to get his way in, but T1 eyes on the Elder. They have claimed it, and now the fight begins in earnest. Look at Doran flashing after Hope, but Hope flashes out in time. Doran in the midst of everyone as Keria and Faker arrive. The HP bars are disappearing for AL, as is their time in this game. T1 crushing the fight. Guma flashing forward. Can't quite take down Hope, but he sure as hell takes down Kyle. Owner is hunting. Owner will find his target. It's a clean ace for T1 as they march on the Nexus.
Game 2 domination from T1. Early, active, and are going to finish it here in under 30 minutes.
T1 battling back here. It was a strong start for AL, but it's T1 in game 2. Absolute domination. 14,000 gold lead, 23-4. T1 have tied us up.